What's happening, golfing fans? Welcome back to the channel, brought to you in association with betting.co.uk. I'm Ginger Joe and I'm back with my weekly golf selections for you to take a look at. I've got two events to turn our attentions to in this week's episode. We've got the KLM Open, or the Dutch Open, on the DP World Tour. Then on the PGA Tour, we've got the Charles Schwab over at Colonial Country Club. Two really decent events, and we could hardly be coming into this week in better form. In the last 3 weeks, we managed to land Adrian Meronk to win the Italian Open at 20-1. Then had Jason Day to win the AT&T Byron Nelson at 18-1. And then the week just gone, we managed to land the US PGA Championship with Brooks Koepka winning at 18-1 plus. We landed the dual forecast as well, the 1-2. Brooks Koepka to beat Scotty Scheffler, which added a nice 66-1 winner to the spoils for us as well. Now, that only adds to the profit. We're nearly at 500 points profit just for this year alone. And of course, all of my selections do come completely free. The only thing I ask of you guys is if you wouldn't mind just hitting that subscribe button below this video. It's completely free to do so. It helps me out a great deal and usually brings us a good bit of fortune for the coming week as well. Now, as an ex-tour professional myself, the way I like to pick out my selections is by trying to find the player that suits these courses the best. And I do like to look at a bit of previous form, but ideally I want the players that have got the game to match the courses out there. I like to have a look at the course flyover, the individual holes, and they started to pay off really nicely as well. And I'm glad that I could bring you some winners. We've been very profitable, and as mentioned, it's completely free. So please do hit that subscribe button. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. But what we do, we're going to go straight on to the DP World Tour. First of all, we'll start with the Dutch Open, where I have 5 selections for you. I'm going to play the usual win singles and the cross tour doubles. And as usual, I'll bring you these selections in the order of strength. Now, they're going to be quite a brief run through of these selections, but in the description below, I will give you my link to my article over on betting.co.uk, where I have a full description and more of an in-depth look at some of the selections that I put up for this week. But as I said, we're going to start on the DP World Tour at Bernardes Golf Club, 7,445 yards here. My number one selection for this week is Spanish Pablo Larrazabal at 55-1. He's an 8-time DP World Tour winner, and he's actually been on tour for about 12 years now. He definitely knows what he's doing out here, and he's actually been playing some really good golf this year as well. He managed to win at the Korean Open by 2 shots, and he's been really consistent since then as well, including last week at the PGA Championship, where he started off with a very good 69 and backed that with 3 consistent rounds of 75, 74, 74. And I think the consistency around such a difficult track can be marked up again. And I think he's going to come back into this one much better form as well. Even though he played well last week, I think he's going to be really well suited to this sort of course here. Probably going to be hard, firm fairways. The greens are going to be fast, and you're going to need a real good touch around these greens as well. But Pablo Larrazabal definitely has that. And I think the 55-1 on offer is way too big. My second selection is going to be Marcel Siem at 70-1. Another winner on tour this year. He won the Indian Open in really good fashion, and that was actually his 5th DP World Tour victory. He's a very consistent sort, and he's been well known for his short game this year as well. He's got that chest putter, and it's been really rocking very, very well. Even when he hasn't been playing well, he's been managing to get on these runs, and I think going into the final round, even if Marcel seems 4, 5, 6 shots off the lead, he's still going to be having a really good chance. I think the 70-1 is a bit of a discredit to the talent that he has. He's a rejuvenated character this year, and I think he's going to go very well indeed. My third selection for this week is going to be Guido Migliozzi at 50-1. Now, he's actually a bit of a standout bet to me this week based on price. He's a very, very good player. We know this. He's a 3-time DP World Tour winner. He's got the Ryder Cup selection or spot on his mind as well. So he is going to need to perform. We've had some really good performances this year from the likes of Yannick Poole. Adrian Meronk's a multiple winner. Guido's really going to need to step up to the plate again this week if he's going to have a really big chance of getting in that squad. He actually played quite well in his opener at his hometown in the Italian Open. Started off quite well, faded out a little bit towards the end, but he's had a couple of weeks off, and I think he's going to come back into this event much better form. At 50-1, that's way too big for the stature of player that we know Guido Migliozzi is. Number 4 is a regular on my episodes, Antoine Rosner, the Frenchman, at 28-1. He's been a bit of a regular for me this year, and like Guido Migliozzi, he's probably going to have the Ryder Cup spots on his mind too. He is currently outside of the world top 100, but he's very close to getting in there for the first time, and he's 17th on the Road to Dubai series as well. He's a very consistent sort of player. He actually finished 3rd in the SDC. He finished then 31st with 2 top 20s without playing anywhere near his best. So if he comes back to a little bit of form this week, I expect him to have a really good chance. 25 is enough value for Antoine Rosner to tempt me in. I tried to sidestep him, but I think his game really suits this track here, and he could be a force to reckon with as well in this week's event. And then number 5 is George Campio at 28 to 1. He has already had a win for us this year at 33 to 1. And he was part of the cross double when we had Scotty Scheffler in the same weekend. But he's a very, very good player. He carded 69, 68, 63 and 66 to win at 18 under par. He then finished 9th in the ISPS, 3rd in the Korean Championship, 9th in the Italian Open, showing why he's 9th in the race to Dubai, Road to Dubai figures this year as well. He's probably not going to be too far away. He's a very well-established player. He seems to be playing the best golf of his life this week in particular. George Campio is my 5th selection for the DP World Tour. Moving on to the PGA Tour, we've got the Charles Schwab at Colonial Country Club here. A really difficult track this is. You're going to need a player that can keep calm under pressure. There's got a little bit of consistency in their game as well. And my number 1 selection on that basis is going to be Tony Finau at 14 to 1. A little bit short in the betting, but I think this sets up really well for Tony Finau. And he's a little bit of value behind Scotty Scheffler, who's 9 to 2 favourite for this event. Now, Tony Finau hasn't yet won a major. He doesn't win too many events on tour, but he's got more top 5 finishes than anybody else in the past 2 seasons. And he actually managed to win really good fashion this year by winning the Mexico Open, holding off a late charge from Jon Rahm, who seems to be unstoppable at his best. But Tony Finau did really well, held him off, and 14 to 1 for this week. I think it's just a really good bit of value for the first selection of the PGA Tour. My second selection is going to be Tommy Fleetwood at 25 to 1. Again, I probably wanted about 33 to 1, maybe 40 to 1 for Tommy Fleetwood, but I can't totally let the price put me off. He's a really good player, and I've mentioned a few times about Tommy this year. He's been really close to hitting that top form. He seemed a little bit disappointed with himself last week at the PGA. Despite striking the ball really well and his approach play is brilliant, his putting was slightly off, but he's a very good putter in general, so I'm willing to forgive him that. He's been creeping back into his best form, and if he clicks this week, then 25 to 1 is going to be pretty big value as a winner. My third selection is going to be Eric Cole at 90 to 1. He was actually a wild card of mine that I put out last week at the PGA Championship at 350 to 1. And he finished 1 shot out of the placings. It was really gutting him, but obviously we had the winner in the first 2 as well. So that paid dividends nonetheless. He's a really good player. He handled the week so well last week. He carded 67, 74, 70 and 70. Now, he is a really decent player. He's quite a solid character as well. And even though he's 34, he seems to be like one of these players that's just getting the hang of his game. He's really starting to improve. And I'm just surprised you could get 90 to 1 about his chances. This week he's going to find much easier. And providing that hasn't taken too much out of him, I'm quite happy to put out Eric Cole each way at 90 to 1. With 10 places available with Coral and Ladbrokes as well. And if you haven't got an offer with those, I'll put some sign-ups in the description below for you there too. And then my final selection of the week, number 4 for the PGA Tour, is going to be Max Homa at 22 to 1. One of my favourite players on tour, and he actually started off the year by finishing 3rd and then winning the Farmers Insurance Open, really establishing himself as one of the top 20 players in the world. And I think he continued growing as a player as well. He doesn't seem too fazed by the big events. He handles conditions really well, whether he got a fast course, long course, short course, it doesn't really matter. He's a very, very good all-rounded player. And like Tony Finau, I just find it too hard to feel that he's going to be too far away in the top 10 places. I think at 22 to 1 is a really good offer for Max Homa, and he will be my last selection of this week's episode. Just to give you a bit of a recap on the selections, on the DP World Tour, again in order of strength, Pablo Larrazabal at 55 to 1, Marcel Siem at 70s, Guido Migliozzi at 50s, Antoine Rosner at 25s, and George Campio at 28 to 1. And then over on the PGA Tour, the Charles Schwab, I like Tony Finau at 14s, Tommy Fleetwood at 25s, Eric Cole at 90 to 1, and then Max Homa at 22 to 1 as well. Now, as mentioned, just the usual win singles plus the each way cross tour doubles as well. You can back all of these selections for under £20 if that's how you like to do it as well. And as I said, for a £1 stake so far, we're nearly at 500 points profit for the season. All I ask of you is please do hit that subscribe button below this video. Helps me out a great deal, and I really appreciate everybody that's tuned in once again. Do drop a comment as well with who you fancy this week. I'm always interested to see what other people fancy and why you fancy these ones in particular. And of course, got 2 really good events to watch this week as well. I've left out any selections for the Live Golf this week, just focusing on the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. And hopefully we can have a really strong week yet again to try and make a 4 on the bounce. Thanks everyone to tuning in. I really appreciate your support. And as I said, if you click subscribe and join my free group chat using the link in the description below, you'll get all of my selections first and foremost before they're posted anywhere else. And I've also popped my article below this video from betting.co.uk. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you all real soon. Bye for now.